All right, have passport, will travel. I can't think of a better way to start this summer this summer 2017 journey than with that phrase. Have passport, will travel. Actually, you know, as I sit here, I've got a couple passports, and one of which is going to well, actually, the passport that's going to get me on the plane this afternoon at 4:45, flight on Air Berlin, taking me to Dusseldorf, and then from Dusseldorf to Berlin, and then Berlin on to my final destination. But the passport that's going to get me on the plane, that's sitting downstairs. These two passports here, more or less, are to just tell you a story. So for those of you that have followed me over the years, you know that I love to travel. I think that's an understatement. You know, the fact that I love to travel, I think that's an understatement. I used to sit in school back in Euclid, Ohio, and I used to look out the window, and between looking out the window and looking up at the map on the wall of the world, I used to think it'd be such a shame, you know, it'd be such a shame that given just one life that you don't see as much of the world as possible. And, you know, I knew early back then that I wanted to travel. And, you know, it was through that dream that I came to be sitting where I'm at today. And that is just a couple hours away from getting on a plane and going over to Budapest. I'm going back to Budapest. And, you know, Budapest is like a... you know, to many people, Budapest, it's like, where's that? You know, where's Budapest? You know, what country is Budapest in? You know, is that in Asia or is that in Europe? You know, but to me, Budapest is like, it's like a second home. I can't even tell you how much I love Budapest. Budapest is in Magyarország. Magyarország is Hungary. But if you're in Hungary, and if you're Hungarian, you're going to say it's Magyarország, and they speak Magyar. So I lived in Budapest for 3 years, 3 of the most wonderful years of my life. And the fact that I'm sitting here now at the age that I'm at and a point in time in life and going back is just I can't even tell you how much it means to me. It's just really, really something else. So, you know, to give you a little bit of a background, the very, very first time that I went to Budapest, I can remember like it was yesterday. I was staying at the Landhaus zu Apsbach, Appesbach, Landhaus zu Apsbach, and I was a guest there of Maximilian Eidelhuber, and Max, as I used to call him. Max had arranged for me. I had a rental car, but I couldn't take the rental car into Hungary at that time, and so Max arranged to get me a rental car that I could drive into Hungary. And I was just outside of Salzburg in a little town called St. Wolfgang. Beautiful place, Lake Wolfgangsee, if you want to look it up on the map. But anyway, so the very first time that I went to Budapest, it was for about a 3 or 4 day trip. And I can remember it wasn't too long after the wall had come down. And I remember I got to the border and I was scared. I was scared because that was the cold. You know, it was the Cold War. I grew up with in the Cold War, and I was going over the wall, so to speak. You know, I didn't know that Hungary was the wonderful, beautiful country that it is. I just thought that it was part of the big Soviet Union. You know, but anyway, so the very first time I drove into Hungary, I had Van Morrison on the radio of all things, and I cried. I cried like a baby. It was like I was going home. It was like a dream come true, going back to Budapest. And since then, you know, I've been back several times, and I actually lived there for 3 years. I met just a beautiful Hungarian girl one summer when I was there, and ended up staying for 3 years. And now I'm going back. So on this particular trip, you know, I talked to you about Budapest, and but I don't know where all this trip is going to take me. I imagine it's going to take me up to Poland. I've always dreamed of going over to Lviv, Lviv. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. That's over in Ukraine, just outside of the border of Poland into Ukraine. I've thought about going up to like Lithuania, maybe going down to see my friends in Italy, Amadeo, and edit and maybe go have some pasta with Amadeo's mom and go to Cinque Terre and all those nice places. So I don't know. I don't know where all this trip is going to take me, and I don't know what all I'm going to experience. I don't even know when I'm coming back. I have a ticket to come back, but that's only because round-trip tickets are less expensive than one-way tickets. So, but I can easily change the return date, so that's not a problem. So I get on a plane tonight. I arrive in Germany early in the morning. I have a several-hour layover, and then I catch a flight into Budapest. I arrive at 6:30, and I rented a place on Airbnb. I've got a beautiful home just right in the center of Budapest, near a place called Octagon. And Octagon is one of the stops on what they call the Körút. The Körút is the circle, the ring that goes around Budapest. So this British guy owns a flat. They call it a flat over there. If you're Hungarian, a lakás. So I have a lakás in Budapest. I'll show up at 6:30 and catch the blue line from the airport. And within probably 30 to 40 minutes, I'll be in Octagon, and I'll be walking over to my lakás, and I'll have the PIN code and walk in and take a shower and maybe take a nap, and then I don't know what will what the rest of the evening will hold for me, but nonetheless, if it seems that I'm excited, I am excited. I'm like a little kid on Christmas Eve, thinking that I'm going back over to Budapest. So, there's a lot to do in getting ready for a trip like this. You've got to do all the obvious stuff. You got to hold your mail. You got to make sure your house is secure. You got somebody to come over and check in on the house, water the plants. You've got all the other stuff. You got to do the shopping. You got to get prescriptions filled. You've got to, there's just a lot of stuff that you got to do. But one other thing that you really got to do in preparing for a trip like this, it's the mental preparation. You got to be mentally prepared, because what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be stepping onto a plane and stepping off into a whole other culture. And granted that I've been there before, but nonetheless, I'm going to be half the world away. And in these times, I should also say that you talk about these times that we live in, these dangerous times, and how they've changed since the very first time that I went to Hungary. But I gave that a lot of thought. I thought about the world situation and everything like that, and I just thought, what, I'm probably no more in danger walking the streets of Budapest at night than walking the streets of Fort Myers here in Florida. In fact, I'm probably safer walking the streets of Budapest. Talking about walking the streets, you see that right there? That is the Parliament building. And walking the Danube at night with the Parliament building all lit up as you see it there. I actually had an apartment once right there, and I would sit there and watch boats go up and down the Danube at night, and look out onto the Parliament. But I lost my train of thought. But anyway, so the things that I'm looking forward to as far as like Budapest is concerned, I'm looking forward to getting back and just walking along the Danube at night. I usually download something and listen to it, like iPod podcast or something like that. Having the goulash levesh, going into the subways and hearing the gypsies playing their violins, and going to the Turkish baths, and there's so many things. Going over to Lake Balaton on the weekends, and all of that stuff. So I can't wait, and it's going to be an exciting trip. The passports that I said that there are a couple stories, and one of which is this passport here was my very first passport. And interestingly enough, I don't know when the first stamp is on this, but they give you pages. They give you pages in this thing, and over the years, I traveled so much that I ran out of places for them to put stamps. So I had to go to the embassy, and they put in an addendum. And lo and behold, over the years, I ran out of places for them to put stamps in the addendum. So now I have a new passport. This is my old passport. And then this passport here, this is a treasure. This passport is a treasure. This is a Hungarian passport. Útlevél, I think is the pronunciation, Útlevél. And this passport was from none other than my grandfather. Not my great-grandfather, my grandfather, my dad's father. And his name was István. And his last name was Hell, H-E-L, István Hell. So by all right, my last name is Tom Hell, not Tom Hall. But we won't get into there. But anyway, there is István, if you can see. I don't know if I bear any resemblance to István. But this passport is dated 1920, it looks like 1921 or something like that. Yeah, 1921, August 24th, 1921. And you know, István, incredible story. István was captured by the Soviets, and in World War I he was sent to Siberia. He escaped. He walked for 3 years across Siberia to get back to Hungary, only to find out that his family was gone, and moved to America, and he found his way to America. And you know, many times when I'm walking the streets of Budapest, I swear I feel the spirit of István walking with me. So anyway, that's about it. So you know, the trip, I've been to Budapest many times. I've done a lot of videos on Budapest. One thing that's different about this trip as opposed to others is I'm bringing what's called a gimbal. And a gimbal is a handheld apparatus. That's a 50-cent word that my dad would say, apparatus. So I'm bringing myself a gimbal, and I'm going to be able to go to places like the Parliament and the Duna, the Danube, and the Great Market Hall and the baths. And I'm going to be able to bring my gimbal, and it's going to give me, it's almost like you're having a little drone in your hand, you know, you're getting this beautiful effect on the videos. So anyway, with all that being said, I need to do some final preparation and get on with the trip. And I'm looking forward to bringing you with me. Okay? All right. Take care.